Welcome to another edition of the Model Minorities podcast, where we do deep dives into seemingly ordinary people's lives as they share their everyday life stories. I'm your host, Sam Lee. We have Jay Kong on production. He's our co-host. And today we have a very special guest, actor, activist, just an overall amazing guy. And we're so excited to have him on the show. We have Michael Toe joining us.
Hey,
Hi,
guys.
Michael.
Thank you for joining us, Michael.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This is cool.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah. So, how's the weather out on the East Coast right now?
I was going to ask you guys because it's definitely not as nice as you guys. I know. We're probably mid 50s.
Yeah.
That's perfect for me. I mean, I personally like it really cold. So,
We got to switch.
Yeah. Are you? You're in Manhattan? No, you're in Where are you right now? Boston.
So right now I'm in Boston, but I'm usually out of New York.
Right.
Yeah, so New York and I've been doing more bi-coastal stuff. So I've been kind of New York and LA.
Excellent. Where do you spend more time working?
New York.
New York.
Yeah, almost all the time. Yeah.
The big city.
Almost everything's here. Michael,
I'm sorry. Michael, why don't you go ahead and share with us who you are and what you do and whatnot, just for the people who might not be familiar.
Yeah, so I am an actor, film and TV actor, and I've been doing it for maybe over 10 years now, 13, 14 years, something like that. And yeah, so my other job is a financial planner. I own a financial planning business.
Wow, that's awesome.
Oh,
that stuff. Yeah, so it's kind of a using different sides of the brain.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And we're Asian, so we always got to do a little bit of math, right?
There's no doubt, right?
No doubt.
So you grew up on the East Coast. Jay and I, we're from the West Coast. We were just chatting about that. Were you born and raised on the East Coast?
Yeah, so I was born in Boston. So I know you guys are first generation. I'm either fourth or fifth generation, depending on how you count. But my wife is first generation from Chinese American.
Oh, wow.
So it's really a different, very different, I think it's a different view on things, I think, as a fourth generation American. I think different things I think bother me that maybe I don't know. I think I just noticed a difference. Not good or not bad, but just I noticed a difference.
Yeah. You are Chinese, your heritage, your family and whatnot. Do you speak Mandarin or Cantonese or any?
Yeah, so I probably am at I have like a mix of stuff. So I have there's three different dialects. So Cantonese, Mandarin, and Toisanese.
I've never heard of that last one before.
Yeah, Toisanese is kind of like the San Francisco, the early generation San Francisco people who come over from China. So like San Francisco, Boston, like kind of like the old Chinatowns.
Yeah.
Like those original people speak Toisanese. So a lot of have you guys seen the TV show Warrior on Cinemax?
I'm not sure about that.
Not familiar with it.
Yeah.
But
You got to watch it. That is an awesome show. Yeah, it's an awesome show. One of my friends is on season 1 and series regular on season 2. But yeah, it's a great show. It's about basically Bruce Lee's kind of a take on Bruce Lee story. It's actually executive produced by Justin Lin and Shannon Lee. Awesome. You guys got to see it.
Oh, great. Yeah, we'll definitely check it out. I actually wrote it down.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think right now with the whole COVID, right, everybody needs a new show to watch, a new thing
I tell you that one, if there's anyone to watch these days, it's that one. It's like the action's awesome. The being the kind of the show, definitely the view of Asian American males from a strong point of view. There's this amazing episode. I think it's episode 5 that kind of has this typical storyline of like kind of the Wild West, like that kind of stuff.
Oh, sure.
But it flips the story, which is so great. So, Wild West, you kind of know what the story. They walk into a bar, a saloon. you know, they kind of like, you have the barkeep, and then you have the guy, the kind of gunslinger. So you kind of know what, and the bad guy gunslinger, and then you have like the hot waitress, you know, whatever you kind of know what it's gonna be like. This is completely changed. It's through the lens of an Asian American back in the 1890s, and so but it has the storylines based on our story, so it's really cool.
Oh, that's very unique.
That's awesome. Yeah. You know, talking about working and a show like that, the first time I saw you, Michael, you were on Law and Order, one of my favorite shows. And I saw you, and you did a bang-up job, and then we connected on Facebook and whatnot. Tell us a little bit about acting. I mean, you were a financial planner. How about we dial it back to when you were in Boston, you're growing up, you went to school out there in Boston, and how did you, you know, after working, I guess, in corporate America, how did you break into acting?
Yeah, so I was actually an actor. You know, I did all the like school plays as a kid.
Oh.
And, you know, that stuff was always a lot of that stuff was fun, and that to me, that was where I really fell in love with acting. And partially because, you know, I had a lot of issues growing up in terms of, you know, identity issues, a lot of that kind of stuff. And being in a play, I could be a different character, and I wouldn't necessarily need to worry about what to say because I had everything I had to say.
Yeah.
I could play this character and kind of really embody it and kind of escape. I grew up in a very white area, and you know. And it affected me in terms of kind of the way I was, you know, kind of socially, who I kind of thought of myself, identity stuff. Yeah. But a theater and acting I could you know, kind of escape. Yeah. So I did that as up to 8th grade, and I was always kind of like the lead in the plays and stuff like that. And for some reason, I always thought, like, I wonder why I stopped. And I played a lot of sports, but I went towards sports in high school, but I'm like, I don't know why I stopped. It wasn't until years later as an actor, you know, a few years ago, I was talking to my mom, and she's like, she was so worried that I was going to try to become an actor. And then she's like, oh my God, I was so scared back then that you were going to become an actor. And I'm like, why? Wait. She's like, yeah, you were starting to want to do all this stuff. So as a young kid for an actor, it's really tough if your parents don't support you, because you can't, you need to go to auditions. You need a really supportive parent. And my parents are really supportive, but from the case, they were kind of like, you know, supportive, but nudging towards the other, you know, towards the sports side. But that stuff really, you know, I'm glad my mom was able to say that, because it showed that I loved it. I realized that it was obvious to her that I loved it as much as it was to me. And so I did that as a kid, and so I didn't do it for a while. And I would always like think about acting and how much I loved it, and you know, kind of went through the normal like kind of, you know, Asian kind of, you know, family type of thing, and wanted to kind of do the, you know, the business or doctor, you know, that lawyer kind of, you know, now I play one on TV, you know, so, but yeah, so I kind of did that, and then kind of, and never did acting stuff, but I used to always have the actor dreams. Like actor dreams are like when people like forget, like you go on stage and you have no idea what your lines are. Or you go on stage and you forget what, you forget your prop, or, you know, those kind of like nightmares, like actors have. And I wake up and I'm like, wait, I'm not an actor anymore. Like, that's not, you know, forget that. I never have to have that actor anxiety ever, because I'm not an actor. Sure enough, you know, that was like a few years later, I became a professional actor, and it worries me all the time now. But yeah, so then I did that, and I went to finance, had my own practice, and it wasn't until, you know, years after my practice was kind of, you know, successful and done there, I really wanted to start to do things that I was passionate about, and that was a lot of Asian American issues, and that sort of thing. So I, you know, I was on a lot of boards, still am, for, you know, Asian American groups and causes and things like that. And it was, movies started coming into Boston because of the tax credits. And so we had the first movie that was in was the movie Departed.
Oh,
Matt Damon and Leonardo
I
DiCaprio.
love that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a remake, I think, of a Chinese movie.
Yeah.
How ironic is this?
Pearl Pears. That was Jack Nicholson.
Yes,
Nicholson
great movie.
Yeah, and so anyways, that came to Boston, and they needed like some background people, so I did a background thing. But all of a sudden, like that just brought me back into like the world of acting again, and the excuse used to be in for Asian Americans on why they don't have a lot of Asian Americans on TV was that well, we do, but there's just not that many talent out there. There's not many actors out there. This is back,
Right.
over 10 years ago. And so that was the excuse why they didn't write Asians in there. So again, excuse. And there was a role that they were shooting a show called Brotherhood with Jason Isaacs. He's the guy from Harry Potter, the Lucius Malfoy from Harry Potter, Wong, gray, white. So he was the star of the series, and they were looking for two Asian actors, and they put it out, and it got kind of spread around, and I wasn't an actor then, so I didn't really care about it. But then they kept putting it out, which means to me they couldn't find that actor.
Yeah, right.
And here I am always saying that's an excuse. They used to say, no Asian actors, so that's why we don't write the parts. And the last thing I wanted to see was that actually being true. So I said, so my brother, who was at the time was, started doing some acting stuff. He said, because they need two people. He said, let's go. So we just on a whim, I went with him. And we ended up getting the role. So it was awesome. A pretty cool part in the series. We were in 2 episodes, and that's how I got my SAG card. And then from there, it all kind of started coming back.
That's awesome. What a great story, man. Yeah. So how did you get your role? I guess you just got a manager, the next steps, and then you got your role on NBC. I think you were on 2 different shows on NBC, right?
Yeah. So I've been on a bunch of stuff. So I started with an agent. My agent, he's actually fantastic. And then recently I have a manager out in LA. So Selena Shoup, she's great too. So yeah, but I've been, a bunch of different shows, but a bunch of different movies. Law and Order was last year. So I'm on.
You've done a bunch of stuff after that, yeah.
Yeah. And so Law and Order was last year. So I'm.
Sam and I Wikipedia you yesterday. We did our little study.
Yeah.
To go into that, you've done something recently that we're really excited about.
Yeah.
It's Lucky Grandma. We saw the trailer for it. I saw it 3 or 4 times. It cracks me up.
Yeah.
And it looks as if you play kind of a gangster in it. Share with us about Lucky Grandma. About that part.
Lucky Grandma's a great movie. So that comes out. We premiered at Tribeca last year, Tribeca Film Festival, and kind of did the film festival circuit. We played out in LA at the LA Asian Film Festival, then out in London and Asia, and then our national nationwide theatrical release was supposed to be in August. We're supposed to have a big, in all theaters, and because of everything that's happening, it got changed to this virtual release. So it'll be coming out on May 22nd, and yeah, it's a great movie. It's a dark comedy directed by Stacey Seeley, written by Stacey and Angela Cheng. It's kind of like an old ode to like Asian grandmas and like Chinatown.
I love it.
Kind of all the. It's kind of like a different world. It's like, like how, in LA, you're in K-Town, different than other, definitely different than other parts of, LA. Same, like, Chinatowns across the U.S. No doubt, it's like it's got its own, way of communicating. It's a way of like bartering. It's a whole way of, underground. So
I can't wait.
Yeah,
that's so interesting. So Tsai Chin, you work with her. She's the lucky grandma, quote unquote. How was it working with her?
It's amazing. She's an icon. She's a Hollywood legend. She's been in Hollywood for 6 decades. Her first movie was I think with Ingrid Bergman, like in 1950 or late 50s or something. yeah, somewhere around there. She's been with like Sean Connery and all the greats. Cary Grant. I mean, she's been in so many different movies. She's been James Bond movies. She's been played a Bond girl twice. One with Casino Royale, and the first one was John Connery. She was in Joy Luck Club as her most iconic role as Auntie Lindo.
Yeah,
and she's feisty. She's 86 now, and she is literally in every scene of the movie. Essentially, it's really her. And then everyone else.
Right.
She is. She's literally a force of nature. And she's so good. She got Joy Luck Club really got back in the day. That was like one of the top movies of the year, and it got snubbed by the Oscars. It was back, Oscars so white, no doubt. It was back then.
Yeah.
So, to me right now, she is so good in this. And I know I'm biased, but even trying to be as unbiased as I can, it should be an Oscar nomination for her. She's so good.
Wow, you heard it here, guys.
Yeah, you heard it here.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you look like in the trailer wise, you play a thug, and you're trying to, I guess, blackmail her for her money, and yeah, it looks fun. How is it working and making that movie?
Yeah, so I play character Little Handsome.
What a name!
I don't know if I don't know if Koreatown was like this, with some of the OGs, but I don't know if they obviously had like nicknames and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So no doubt, old school Chinatown is definitely like that. And so they, were like Froggy or like, or
Thumper.
Yeah, all those kind of names. And so, I got Little Handsome in it, and it's not really supposed to be, it's a little bit more tongue in cheek. We're kind of like my partner in crime in the movie. His name is, they call him Pockmark. Supposedly, all that stuff. Always those names are they're like really direct and like they're not PC. You know what I mean? It's just
not at all. Yeah.
Like Little Fatty, or ugly hair, there's no niceness. It's basically like your
the way you see it.
It's no filter.
Yeah, no filter.
It's right on the nose.
Your nickname that people made fun of you, and that's your name. That's you never called you that, and you just something you do. So it's a kind of like we play like bumbling idiots. It's kind of like if you remember the movie Home Alone.
Yes.
Kind of like that, kind of like the, trying to do, it kind of goes wrong, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
So Mike, when you were, as you were filming that movie, what was your favorite thing about it, or like the favorite moment?
I mean, there's so many things about it. This is, I think I shot for 18 days or something, but it was such working with Tsai Chin. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I mean, this is someone who my parents, would watch all her stuff. I knew definitely her for a lot of her work, and to actually work with her and all the stories, she has some of these amazing stories. I mean, she's so it's to be able to work with her, it's kind of like, it's like a master class in acting every day on set. I was, she was, and the stories that she gave, it was kind of, have you guys seen the new series on Netflix called Hollywood? It just came out recently.
I saw a couple episodes.
Yeah, it's kind of like Hollywood back in the day, but and you kind of see it in this fictional world. But this was I get to hear the direct stories of like behind the scenes, like who was hooking up with who's gay, like why did he get the job? Why did she do, all these stories? And she is like, she does not hold back. She tells it like it is. And I loved being on set with her.
And 6 decades of experience. I mean, I'm sure she accumulated so much things and so much knowledge and so many stories that she could, unload on you.
Yeah, she was. She was a little hard to get to know in the beginning, because she's kind of like she's really tough, and you kind of get scared of her. I mean, that she's like, you just don't want her on. You don't want to be on her bad side.
That's crazy. So her character in the movie, it's like almost like her real self.
Oh yeah, it is. Other than you throw in the the Hollywood diva-ness to her in a good way. That is like, it is her. That is her. I mean, the
That's
essence
awesome.
of her taking no crap. That is her.
She
awesome.
seems intimidating in most of all of her characters. So
Yes, it is no doubt her. So I mean, that was so much fun. And when you play, different with movies, movie and TV, especially kind of the level that I am in movie and TV stuff. Most of the stuff I'm not there. I'm not usually like the main like lead guy all the time. So and until I get on a series regular on a show, I come in as a guest star or supporting. So usually my stuff is multiple days or maybe a few weeks at most. But usually those are sporadic, and you're coming into a TV series already in progress.
Established,
being a guest at someone's house that's already established. They already have the relationships. Whereas with a movie like this, everyone, you're with each other 10 to 16 hours a day for a month. It's like going away to like summer camp and having all the fun and hanging out with this group and going out afterwards and hanging out and getting to meet new people and you see them all day and then you party at night. It's great.
Awesome. Hey, share with us a little bit about that. I mean, that sounds like fun. I mean, you guys are on set. You guys shooting?
No, this is New York City.
New York City. Wow. And then you guys would, of course, click up with, your group and then you guys would go out and party afterwards, huh?
Yeah. It's, I mean, maybe it's it's just more my style. I know some people kind of like, but for me, I'm just having so much fun doing this stuff. And so I just want to make it. That's kind of the way I am in my kind of life in terms of, no doubt I live by the YOLO kind of like,
work hard, play hard.
Of course.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Because it's like to be fortunate enough to do something that I love so much, to be able to be in, projects like that. I mean,
that's a blessing.
Yeah, it's a blessing. And the last thing I want to do is, sleep. I can do that. I can
when
do
you
that
die.
later. So, and especially New York is, the city that never sleeps. So,
oh yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Wow, awesome, man. So Michael, just to kind of shift a little bit and to dive deeper into what you do, I know that you have a production company, and it's called Toe and Arboleda.
Yeah, Toe Arboleda Films. Yep.
Films.
My co-producer, Taya Arboleda.
Oh, awesome. And you guys make a lot of social justice type of films. Share with us how you guys started with that and maybe do a deep dive into your production company.
Yeah, sure. So it's a production company in a kind of a loose sense. We don't do it for money. It's really for social justice, usually Asian American social justice issues. And we started really with this. Do you remember on Bill O'Reilly, this guy, Jesse Waters World? He did this was like 5 years ago, where it was 4 years ago, exactly. And he made a video on Bill O'Reilly on Fox and would come in and made fun of, went into New York Chinatown and made fun of Asians. Like,
I remember that.
Japanese, made fun of Koreans, made fun of Chinese.
Just blatantly racist.
Yeah, exactly. So bad. And it was not, the show was not really supposed to be like that. It was supposed to be like a news thing. Sure, a little bit of humor, but not this kind of pure fiction kind of stuff. And he would, and not just that, he would go after elderly. Like he would ask them, some like older Asian grandma type, someone who's like, 80, ask them a question, and then the editing would cut before they answer. Like they would think about it and then cut, and it would make it seem like they were done. It was really below the belt. I get so mad. And the way Asian American groups around the country, which are some really great groups, but the way they usually address these things is they will kind of form a letter. They'll write to, and kind of get some signatures behind the letter and say, we admit we want an apology, which is great. But to me, it's not all we could do. And especially when you see those things and a lot of these issues that we are dealing with, there's video or some sort of, TV segment or a personal video that they saw something happening. When you see this stuff, you can't respond to it with a letter. That can't be it. I think it's
temporary fix.
What was that?
It's a temporary fix and a band-aid just to
so if you get
a letter is bullshit. Let me just say that it doesn't do anything to change the fact that this video is out there and it's literally making people feel a certain way, and a letter behind the scenes is not effective at all.
Yeah, so, I don't hold anything against those groups because they're doing what they just doing it.
Yeah.
That at least they're doing they're doing what they can.
Right.
That's the thing with me is when you're as an actor, I have access to a lot of different actors. Taya is an Emmy Award-winning, producer director. So we teamed that together. We met at a civil rights forum, and we were saying let's use this and address it. And so we did a parody on it and really switched the view of that story and parodied the story. Got an actor who played Jesse Waters. Got different actors to play the scene, but we flipped the switch on it and completely turned it around from being so you're seeing it getting so mad at it to the other way around where we responded.
Fantastic. And then I'm sorry to cut you off, Michael, but where can people listening right now and watching this, where can we see that parody?
Yeah, so we have a YouTube channel, To Arboleta Films, and you can see that. It's called Waters World,
Waters World.
Yeah, Waters World Chinatown.
Chinatown.
The unedited version.
Awesome.
And so we did that, and that got a bunch of we released that, and a bunch of other people did that, but we released that a little like maybe 9 days after, which was fine. But what happened was we realized that we need to be quicker. So when we've had videos like with Daniel Day Kim and Grace Park, Hawaii 5-0, when they had all that pay issues.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and they had they were like the marketing piece, especially Daniel Day Kim was the head of the, you see all the marketing always had him from the beginning. He was the only name in the beginning, and yet he was getting a lower pay.
A fraction of, yep.
Yeah, so we got pissed at that, and we did a tribute video to him that got hundreds of thousands of views. There was a video, the BBC video with this guy getting interviewed by the BBC, and in the middle of his serious interview about like the crisis in North Korea, his kids walked in. Do you guys remember that video?
I remember that, yes.
Videoed it, and like literally the kids go walking in, and then this kid in like the baby stroller thing comes in, and then literally this woman comes in and like pulls the kids, that's like a 30-second video, pulls the kids out like in the middle. The woman was Asian. And what everyone was talking about was how they loved the video. It was hilarious, and especially the funniest part was when the nanny came in and pulled it up. Now, that was the wife. Yeah. And, and so while everyone was not, they didn't necessarily say it in a
they assumed.
They just assumed, right? And so that's part of it too. So we wanted to say, well, our point was, well, why do you always assume that the Asian woman there, why was she the nanny?
She's the hired help.
Yeah. Why is that the first thought, right? That runs across the mind. Yeah.
So we did a parody on that got it came out like on a Saturday. We did it 3 days later, a parody. It's got millions of views, and we got invited by South Korea to a civil rights group in South Korea to come out and talk about our project, because it was such a big news thing.
That's amazing.
We ended up videoing in, but it was so we've been doing things like that. And our most recent, we have a bunch of different things, but most recent is a video called Coughing While Asian, which was done early on in the COVID-19 crisis. And this was when it was not in the US. It was very few cases. Everyone was having this anti-Asian different than it is now in May. This was back in February when it wasn't here, but people were like avoiding
Yeah.
Chinatown, avoiding Asian food places. They were like, anytime an Asian person coughed, it was like, everyone was scared.
Clear the room.
Yeah. But it had no truth behind that piece of it, because it could have been anybody who coughed. You could be like, but it was focused on Asians. So we did a play on that, and that was our that was kind of crazy. I think again,
5 million views, I think.
Yeah, and it was just, and we got a lot of different things from that, and our main our main goal is from a social justice message. So we want to just say think a little bit before acting, and your biases of saying, oh my God, that person's Asian, that person could at the bar. Does that make sense at that time? Does that make sense? Now it's like anybody coughs, we're like this. But, but at that point, it was making the point that just think twice and how it didn't make sense. Your first thought, if people just thought a second before reacting, things would be a lot better.
Yeah, I agree.
Agreed. You talked about COVID-19. How is it out there in Boston? Just to take a little pause from this acting stuff, but are you guys going out and practicing, of course, social distancing and wearing masks? Is that required?
Yeah, Massachusetts is pretty good. We're not like Georgia or some of these other crazy places. I was actually supposed to shoot a movie down in Atlanta before this started, and it got pushed off, and so I don't know when that's going to start up again. But Boston Massachusetts was pretty. We hit pretty hard, but we're pretty good in terms of a lot of the sheltering at home and things like that. So we're not opening up. We're opening up soon, but not yet.
Yeah.
Have you been traveling back and forth to New York ever since the beginning of COVID-19? Because New York was like the epicenter. So
everything's been shut down. So all the projects that I had, I was in the middle of the audition process for a bunch of big projects, and that stuff all got put on hold. So back to that Lucky Grandma, we were supposed to have this big premiere, and so now they changed it. So and which is kind of a cool idea, but now they changed it where they're partnering up with all these theaters around the country, and you can buy kind of like a pay-per-view, or rent the movie online, and once you do it, it splits between the local theater that you go through and the movie distribution.
Oh, that's awesome.
So in some way, and then there's also a donation part of it too that's going to kind of like a lot of the Asian like a lot of the Chinatowns that have been losing a lot of business and things like that. So there's a portion of it that goes there. But so it's kind of exciting with all that stuff happening. It's not as exciting as a true red carpet. We're having a virtual carpet. We're having a lot of these Zoom watch parties and things like that, which would be a lot of fun. But not the same as what it was going to be in August.
And it could be launched, I guess. What's the limits? Globally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about all the rights there, but it's so throughout the country. It's like, I don't know, over 200 theaters.
Where can we buy a ticket? Where can the local public buy a ticket? Yeah,
so I think there's the Lucky Grandma website or Facebook page or Instagram. I think it's Lucky Grandma Movie on Instagram. They'll have links to where to join, but what I would do is these watch. I don't know if you guys have done any Zoom watch parties.
Mm-hmm.
No,
it's actually kind of fun because they're wide. I did it for. Have you heard of Gold House or Gold Open?
No. Wait! I think I saw something online about that. Yes.
Yeah, Gold House Gold Open is this great group that kind of supports a lot of the kind of merges the business side of Asian Americans with the entertainment side. I did see that. Uh-huh. Yeah, so they had. Kind of a watch, the New York version, the New York side had a watch for one of the movies that came out. And we kind of all watched on Zoom, kind of had things, and everyone, it was kind of like being in the theater. So you're watching on your own screens, but you're watching with, 30, 40 people, and you get the same reaction that afterwards we talked about. It was kind of cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that is awesome.
That's awesome, man. We'll probably do something like that, and we'll also have links at the bottom when we post this video for Lucky Grandma and where everyone can go and get a ticket or join a watch party. So
yeah, it's cool. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So, Michael, is there anything else you'd like to share with us today in regards to working as an actor? I just have a couple more questions for you, but I wanted to give
Me
you an
too.
opportunity to kind of like share anything, any other projects upcoming. Right now, it's tough for actors because we're all sheltering in place, and all the projects, as you mentioned, are being put on hold.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no work. For you guys, really, and so that kind of is an opportunity, I guess, for us to kind of talk about your experiences and an opportunity to see other avenues and where actors can kind of shine. Is there anything you'd like to share?
Sure. Yeah. So it is really tough, with everything because all our projects are shut down. Fortunately, I did a lot in 2019, so a bunch of stuff is coming out. So obviously, Lucky Grandma is coming out now. I'm in this TV show called Defending Jacob with Chris Evans from plays Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
That's on Apple TV, and so my episodes are coming up in the next few weeks. And then next month, June 21st, I play Agent Chen in Nosferatu, NOS4A2, which is on AMC, and that's that's written by the son of Stephen King. So his name is Joe Hill. He's it's kind of a horror with stars Zachary Quinto. So that's happening, and then a lot of stuff. Then in July 3rd, I'm in a movie called Free Guy starring Ryan Reynolds and Jodie Comer, and that got, because of everything that's happening, that got moved to the Christmas time. But then also in August, I'm in a movie called Sound of Metal with Riz Ahmed. I don't know if you know him. He's from Riz Ahmed is The Night of. He's in one of the Star Wars movies. Amazing actor. Amazing. So that's coming out in August. So it's been busy. So a lot of stuff going on, and I'm always the type that there's always something going on. There's always things that I can be doing, things that we're producing. I'm working on a campaign with Taya for the presidential campaign race coming up. So we're going to do some videos for Asian Americans for that, and it's always something going on with me.
Can I ask you a political question then, if you don't mind, or you don't have to answer this, but you mentioned it, so I wanted to say, what are your political views, Michael? Do you have? Where's your stance?
So the campaign we're doing is for Asian Americans, and it's for the Biden campaign. So it's pretty clear. We are, for me, where I stand. I think I think it's disgusting that the way this administration is addressing the way they're addressing and stoking racial tensions and all that stuff. So I could go on forever about that stuff, but I think it's pretty clear where I stand.
Sure.
And look at Sam asking all these tough questions.
No. I just wanted to touch base, get to know Michael a little more. Michael, there are, especially us, Jay and I, we grew up here in LA, where, in the Los Angeles, Southern California area. We have a lot of friends, even mutual friends, that want to be an actor. They want to break into Hollywood. They want to get roles. Like you are legitimately, classified for an Asian American male actor. You're successful, right? You got a lot of work. You've been in a lot of big things on a major network. Mm-hmm. Can you share with the listeners out there who are struggling and just getting, their headshots together and whatnot? What's some advice that you can give?
Sure. So I get asked a lot, and one of the things when I did this is that I think it's really important that when you're kind of breaking into an industry or trying to change the way the industry works, that the people who can break in to whatever degree it is, in some ways needs to pay it forward. So they need to help the generation that kind of paved the way, like Tsai Chin, like Tai Ma, people who've done these amazing, who kind of broke the glass ceiling and got in. They've always helped the next generation. Mm-hmm. And so I feel that same way that's everything that I get is because of people like that, and it's my job to be able to pay that stuff forward. So I always do that, and people, try to have mentees and who I try to advise and help out. But one thing is to look at acting as a business. So taking it from that point of view, so a lot of people maybe take the easy route, but to me, this is not an easy career. And it's kind of like baseball, where a Hall of Fame baseball player is wrong 2 out of 3 times. They can't, and so it's 1 out of 3 times he gets a hit, and he's a Hall of Fame type player. It's the same thing with actors. Most actors will get, if they get the opportunity, when they get the opportunity, then they're getting rejected all the time. So what you can do is you can address all the things that you can control and look at it like a business in that point of view. So making sure that your headshots are done right, making sure that you're healthy and looking good, to the best of to who you are, making sure that your materials are done right. And if it costs money to do that stuff, then making sure that you have your financial situation is good enough to be able to save money, to be able to get those headshots that you need to look right, or get a reel that's done right. And to find mentors, to reach out to people like myself. And there's a lot of people in LA who are very open, who've been in the industry for a long time, who are very open in helping people. But at the same time, you see the people, when a lot of people who do ask me those questions and how to help, you can see sometimes they don't do the work themselves. So that to me, it's always like, you need to work. If you're working really hard and you're trying to do everything that you can in training and practicing, and then I'll help you to whatever you need.
Of course.
That's an interesting
point.
point.
Take the easy route out.
Yeah.
And that's.
I think, Michael, I think it's true, and you bring up an interesting point. That's in any type of situation. If someone comes and asks me for help, but they don't put in the work, I'm less willing to do.
Yeah.
I can lead you to water, but I can't make you drink. You got to.
You could only do so much.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
That's fantastic, Michael.
So Mike,
go ahead.
Go ahead. So, Michael, I know you mentioned a little bit about role models and mentors. How you want to be the role model and the mentors for the upcoming generations. For you personally, Michael, like in your acting career and your pursuit of acting career, did you have any role models and mentors that you want to maybe give a shout out to?
Tsai Chin and Tai Ma. Tai Ma is the Asian father in all the movies with Mulan and Farewell and Tiger Tail, and I've seen him and the way he works and the way he is such a global movie star, that he still stays true to his roots. And he doesn't forget where he comes from. He always is available for to giving advice, to helping the next generation of actors, or just the next generation of Asian Americans, and always pushing for what is right. And so he's one of my mentors and role models, no doubt. And obviously Tsai Chin, she's her advice is much more direct and no nonsense. It's much more like don't you do what you want to do and fuck everybody else.
Great.
But yeah, so both of them.
Awesome.
I love it. Very different perspectives, but I mean, I like when you're trying to get to it, like you need every advice you could get, and different perspectives and different size and personality. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and that's, maybe it's a little bit different in LA, but in New York, there's the group of Asian American actors. There's not a lot. We all know each other, and even LA, we all know each other.
Close knit family.
Yeah, and it's very easy to kind of get that competitive feel, but really, we're all in it together. And one day someone may get a role, but then another day, the other person will get the role. And so I don't like looking at it as that competition, one against the other. To me, it's like if we can raise the whole, the rising tide raises all boats. It's
All
kind of that
boats.
feel.
My favorite quote. Yeah.
We need to help each other for that stuff, and
Right.
that's why, like, for example, what you guys are doing, right? The podcast. I know you guys are, 4 episodes in, and like doing things that that the younger generation can look at and have these conversations, not just actors, but people who are business people, DJs, business type people, and having those kind of conversations. And we can see where we have all these different experiences, all these different ways, different ways of looking at things. But
we're not all doctors and lawyers.
Yeah, right.
And engineers. Yeah, there's people that take routes like you and chances like you, Michael, and we want to highlight that. We want to celebrate people like you who went and did the most. I think one of the most difficult things you can do is go and try and be an actor. And you're doing it, so we celebrate you.
Tough. Yeah, it is pretty tough, but it's one of those things where I have 3 daughters, and one of the big things that I've seen how a lot of Asian females are portrayed in media. I know definitely how Asian males are portrayed in media, and to me, that stuff, I didn't want them to kind of grow up with a Hollywood-led view of how their world should be. I wanted them to make sure that they understood things, and so I want to lead by example. So a lot of we talk all about that stuff.
How old are your daughters?
They're teens and preteens.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a 1-year-old, so I know what you mean. I want to change it and help in any way, shape a better view of Asian women. They're not just objects, right? No yellow fever.
Yeah, well, right. They're sexually typecast as a certain thing. Very, no doubt. But the Asian males are the flip. Flip side, and we're starting to see a lot more projects for Asian females that Asian males are still behind.
Yeah.
So, the half of it that just came out recently on Netflix, which was great. A bunch of different, a bunch of series like Farewell and Nora from Queens, a bunch of different things that are really showing paving some new ways for Asian females.
Shout out to Aquafina.
Yeah.
I was following her since my vag. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
She's awesome. This is something I wanted to touch on as well, Michael, is that the climate right now, it seems to be that it's opening up for Asian Americans. We're seeing a lot more projects going on the mainstream. And I think the internet had a lot to do with this, but, and also what you touched on earlier in regards to it being competitive. I think a lot of it, you're the expert, but it had to do with so many roles. There was only so many roles out there. It was so limited for Asian Americans. I have 2 questions. One is, do you feel that it's getting better? Like there are more roles out there for Asian American males. And then number 2, on top of that, is there any part of these roles where you go in, they're highly limited, where you say, no, I'm not going to do that. Like they ask you to do a Chinese accent or, take us back 10 years. You know what I mean? So
sure. Yeah. So, no doubt. I think we are definitely getting better. I can see that from the roles that back to the second question piece. I could see the roles that I'm going out for now are much different than before.
Yeah.
And I don't have those same issues as I did even 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. 7, 8 years ago, it was definitely pretty bad.
Yeah.
There was tough decisions to be made. Now it's a lot better. Hollywood's has changed a lot really quickly. And, kind of back to the point of what you had said earlier about, advice to new actors. One of the big reasons why a lot of this stuff has grown is that the ways to make movies don't have to be through a big network with huge budgets. You can film something, just on a phone and still be some great stuff. And so to me, a lot of advice to actors is you can make your own projects. Do what we do for our video stuff. the point is not to help my career by doing these videos, but for example, with Coughing While Asian, seen by, some of the stuff in total, maybe like 10 million people. So, that wasn't the focus. There's a message point of it, but if someone who's trying to grow a career, no doubt. But back to your point of roles from Hollywood now, it's so much better than they were. And yeah, so I'm really happy with that. The flip side of it, though, is that just because we're going this way doesn't mean we can't just go back down. Mm. Like it used to, if you look back in history, and that's why history is always, so important to look at. If you look at Asians in Hollywood, there was, and I forget his name, but there was a Japanese American like heartthrob back in like the 30s or 20s, 1930s, 1920s. It was crazy, and he was kind of viewed as this like male, really, and it's like in my mind, like how, really, and how far we've kind of dropped back down, and then right. Especially with everything that's happening with the racial issues that we're having now with right. with COVID-19, we could easily turn the other way. So it's so important that we don't rest on our laurels, that we just take everything for granted and be like, well, I'm not going to really watch that. There's tons of other Asian shows on there. I'm not going to really support as much. It's not my style. I'm not really into romantic comedy, so I'm not going to watch that. Or I don't really like that actor, so I don't really care about it. I just want to watch movies or shows that I really like. We're not at that point. That's a danger when we do that.
Yeah.
And so that's why, like, I watch, a lot of these shows to support. I don't love all of them.
Same here.
But it's so important to do it because we can easily turn the other way. Right. And the more we entrench ourselves and support each other, Hollywood and others who want to put us down or take things away from us, they won't be able to. So I think it's so important to have that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
Great. That's fantastic. And I'm 100% with you on that. If we don't support our own, who will? We need to be the first building block, and then there'll be others to follow. So that's very, very important. But I didn't even think of the point of digression. I didn't realize that could happen. I thought we're always progressing forward and this is the open door, but history is the lesson.
Yeah, no doubt. That's surprising. I didn't know that. I thought the same thing. I didn't know that was the case. And then looking back, it's like, he was like, it was in the black and white times. It was unbelievable. It was like this Asian guy, like who's like in this movie, like he was the star. I'm like, here it is 100 years later almost. And I'm like, really? That's crazy.
We got to do some research after we're done.
Yeah, you look at it. It's you see the pictures, like what? I mean, you're almost thinking it's like a joke. It's hard to imagine that was the case. And what happened was, I think it led up into maybe it was World War II that all of a sudden things changed. I think that was kind of the reason why it changed.
Yeah, that could do it. The World War could do that to an actor. But any interesting stuff that you and your production company is work? I think you guys are doing a campaign, you said, for Asians, but anything else?
I mean, I'm also doing a full-length documentary, a feature documentary on comedian Joe Wong, who I don't know if you guys have seen him. He's on Colbert, David Letterman, Ellen show. He's hilarious. Yeah. And he was a comedian coming up with, so I used to host these comedy shows back, 15 years ago. And Joe was my number. I did these Asian comedy shows before it kind of.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so
cool.
Joe Wong was my number 2. Do you know Ali Wong? Ali Wong was my number 3, before they made it. And he got really big, Joe, and got into all these shows, but all his people at his same level, non-Asians, whites, they were getting their own TV shows. And because he did everything he could, but he wasn't able to get the show, and Hollywood wasn't ready. So he went to China, ended up hosting a TV show for 5 years to one of the largest, most seen shows in China for years. And now he's just come back to the U.S. and trying to still make it, trying to make his mark here. And so we're doing a documentary on that. We were shot out in China last year. We shot him we were at the backstage of the Colbert Show, and we're not finished yet, but that's a project in the works.
That's awesome. That's a great teaser right there. I can't wait to see that. What's it going to be called? Is it going to be Joe Wong comedy?
Oh, we don't know, but it's
okay.
it's, maybe I'll have to do something to there's a billion people in China, and so maybe something to do with that.
Okay. Awesome.
It's crazy, Michael, because interviewing you and listening to all your stories, it seems like you have your foot or interest in every nook and cranny and avenues. It's you're just not a simple actor that just goes out and just simple roles, but you have so many interests and passions in different things.
Growing up, that stuff wasn't a quality because it was like my brain was always scattered. I wasn't able to focus on any one thing. So I guess I control it a little bit better, but it makes my days kind of crazy. I still have that kind of scattered personality.
Growing up, you hadn't mentioned your brother. He's also an actor. Is he working?
No, he was a model actor that dabbled into it. He just did that for a little bit. I give him a lot of credit for getting me back into it, which is great. He doesn't do it anymore. But we grew. I mean, when we grew up, we grew up with that whole identity thing, and that was, I think, back then trying to assimilate and try to fit in.
Yeah.
We wanted to kind of avoid our Asianness and kind of where we came from, and I think that's why now as an adult, I have so much passion. I want to make up for that.
Mm-hmm.
I was embarrassed about those times as a teenager when I didn't want to be Asian, when I wanted to be white like all my friends. So all that kind of stuff. I feel like I'm extra passionate now.
Did you encounter, Michael, any racism growing up?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, all the time. And they weren't. Yeah, I mean, yes, and to all different degrees, but so much of it is. It's not even just the fights. It's not even just about that. It's a lot of it. The stuff that sometimes is the worst are the microaggressions.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah. The little things that you're like, I know why I wasn't invited there. I know why. I know why I didn't get that. Or those things sometimes are worse, and they or slight comments, maybe even unconscious bias type comment. Before, like the thing they said, the automatic thing, the nanny, or the way Asian men were looked at, or just slights on slights, like the things that you might think of a throwaway.
Yeah.
But to me and to you probably you guys, that thing of like that ad, when you hear that again and again and again growing up, especially in your formative years, it affects you.
Yeah.
And I did. No doubt, I had all that kind of stuff.
Right on. Do you have any other siblings, Michael?
I do. A younger brother and a younger sister.
Younger brother, younger sister, and then so the brother is your younger brother.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so
correct.
There's three of you guys.
Yeah, that's the thing with acting, right? It doesn't actually. Age really is not a factor. It's you can really be an actor at any age. And
never too late to start.
Yeah.
So that's great. And you know what? This has been great. I think we can go on for hours. I wanted to talk or touch base, and the last thing that I would like to ask is, you're on a list, your movie, Lucky Grandma, to dial it back to why we're even doing this is because you're in this great upcoming movie, or it's already been released in Tribeca, but and you guys were on a list of, I think it's the 60 greatest Asian American films. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really good films on that list, Michael. So congratulations.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. That's pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. That's pretty crazy. When I saw that, kind of hearing my story a little bit and what's been important in a lot of those movies, a lot of those actors, a lot of those writers and directors have been are heroes to me. And to kind of all of a sudden to be in a movie, to be in that list.
Yes.
I'm so honored to be able to have that opportunity. And the movie it really deserves it. It's kind of crazy that it is in the list, but at the same time, it's a it's a deserving movie. It's hilarious, and it shows another side of Asian Americans, and it's really great. What an honor to be on that list. And the thing about that list that's even crazier is that it would actually have been higher if after we get the wide release.
That's what I was thinking.
I think. So it's going to even be better from that. So I'm excited to see where this goes, and I'm just excited for the actual nationwide premiere. I think that's going to be pretty definitely exciting.
We're excited about that,
Super.
and we want to just congratulate you again, and thank you so much for being and taking time out of your busy schedule to be on with us, the Model Minorities. Jay and I appreciate you greatly. Hopefully we can have you back on the show.
I'd love that, Sam.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm glad to see what you guys are doing, and I'd love to come back.
Awesome. Thank you so much. For our listeners out there, Michael Toe, he's an actor, activist, and he is just a really fun guy, as you guys could hear. He has his hands in a lot of things. If you like our show, please subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. Let's hear what you guys think, or if you'd like to add any questions, we can answer them as well. So,
and just like as Michael said, let's all go support just not only just our Asian communities, but for the people that we care about, and just be on the lookout for the lucky grandma. I could already tell, like, you could just see it in Michael's expressions, like how funny and exciting, and just all the different type of emotions and reactions it's gonna be producing. So be on the lookout for that, and I'm super excited to just I'm definitely gonna be watching that.
We'll have a watch party, Jay.
Yeah, I'll be definitely.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, wash your hands, and don't touch your face. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thanks, guys. That was awesome.